Hello, and how you doing? And welcome back to Two Jagoffs. I am your host, Austin Carnes, right back here in Point Park's beautiful media hub. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we are bringing on a very special guest. He is 1/3 of the We Are Family podcast, a fellow Point Park University sports comm student, and also the final sideline producer. I finally got all the Infinity Stones. I got them all on the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jake Bell. Jake, it's good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you too. Thank you for having me on. I'm very excited. You do a great job, like I mentioned, so can't wait to get into it.
Thanks, man. And I mean, this is kind of me returning the favor too. You guys brought me on We Are Family last semester, so I had to return the favor and bring you on as well. So thank you again for letting me come on.
Oh, no problem at all.
Great time. I also had your other fellow We Are Family member, Peyton Celestia, on Steel City Commuters this week. So don't worry, Nate, you'll get your get back, I promise. But I'm glad that you're here, man. I've really been wanting to do this episode for a while.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I'm glad you guys were able to get Peyton on. He's definitely a very high character, so I'm sure he did a great job. But yeah, no, I'm definitely happy to be here with you and to be in an episode because you have a lot of great people on. So I'm honored to be in that sort of company.
Of course, man. Of course. I'm glad that you're here too. And I'll tell you what, I want to thank you for something too, real quick. You, Matt, and Bryn. I mean, I know you guys are the sideline producers, but you were also the three that has been the nicest to me when I first came to Point Park. And you guys were very open when I started joining sideline and sports comm. So I just want to thank you for being very welcoming and helping my transition to Point Park so much smoother.
Oh, no problem at all. Like with sideline, we always want to emphasize how like we want it to be an opportunity builder. We want a lot of people to join, and the niceness doesn't just come from, we want you to be here, but it's just the kindness of our hearts just because we want everyone to feel welcome. So I'm glad that, you're feeling that same way because we really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I got to tell you what, that's pretty much what Point Park has been. It's a very welcoming environment. I love it here. That's one of the main reasons why I wanted to come to this campus and learn about the sports communication majors and broadcasting. I want to know there, what brought you to Point Park?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I knew out of high school, I wanted to go somewhere that was not really a big university. I kind of wanted somewhere that was small, but still had very great opportunities so I can get kind of like my hands full with stuff early on. And Point Park really drew me with just their alumni. I was very impressed with Greg Brown, Bob Pompiani, all that. That really drew me in. I had a couple friends that went here, so that I felt like that would have made an easy transition. But overall, after I talked with Bernie, like I knew this was the place I wanted to go. This is the only place I actually looked at the dorms. Like I visited IUP and Kent State. I didn't care about anything else except their program, and I thought Point Park stood out the most. And I cannot complain one bit. I've met so many great people here. A lot of people I'm going to be friends with for a while.
And I know you're pretty involved too. You do a lot with UView, not just sideline, UView in general. You do a lot with the Sports Communication Club. Can you kind of speak on that? Speak on some of your experiences here at Point Park so far?
Yeah, no problem at all. So UView's a big one. Like you mentioned, I'm one of the producers for Pioneer Sideline. I love doing that every single week. It's crazy that being a freshman, sophomore, having to like ask a bunch of questions. Now I'm the person people ask questions to. Like, it's just a crazy feeling, but I'm very honored. Joey Bova and Jacob Kubik were the producers before, and they allowed me and Matt to be producers and make Bryn the host. And she's basically a producer too. She does a fantastic job. So, and I try to do as much shows as I can because I met so many great people at UView, and not only do I want to return the favor, but I also want to kind of get more experience with behind the scenes stuff and everything like that. So very glad I was able to do this and play a high role. As for SportsCom, I'm the treasurer for SportsCom. I have a lot of fun with that. Chris and Tiana have been very nice to me, and they've made any sort of problems I may have, not really problems, but just anything in regard to that, they just made everything easier. So I'm very glad that they feel comfortable with me to put me in a high position, and I'm very blessed to have a lot of people to vote me in this position because it just truly means a lot because of all the friends I made here.
And I feel like the importance too is you're one of the few that actually take on the role of being on camera and being behind the camera, and that's what's really important going into the careers that we're both looking for. You got to know what's going on behind the scenes, and you also got to know what's going on camera. Are you more of the behind the scenes kind of guy? Are you more of the on camera? What's kind of the preferred preference?
So actually, it's funny, coming into Point Park, I want to be a play-by-play guy. And I still think it's a lot of fun. I just don't know if I have the personality to be honest. I love doing color, though. I like just spitting out information. But I like behind the scenes, I think, more. It's just, I love being creative. I love kind of being in control. And that's just something I like to take pride in. So after my time in Point Park, I realized that that's more what I want to do.
More of the behind the scenes. Is there like a specific role you like the most? Because aren't you? What's the exact role you're on with sideline? Is it like switcher or
technically a technical director?
Technical director.
Yeah, I like doing that, but honestly, I would do anything. It's just a lot of fun. I've had so much experience with UView. Luckily, a lot of people trust me to do these different things. But yeah, no, I would do anything. I think it's a lot of fun.
Didn't you call a couple games last year too? I could have sworn you were on one of the basketball games.
Not basketball.
Or was it baseball?
I did do color for baseball and
Okay.
softball. Mainly Connor was on play-by-play for that. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Usually I'm a big stats guy. So like if someone like say a softball player like has a high on base percentage, but they don't walk very much, but I see they got hit by pitch a lot. So I like to like mention that sort of stuff. I don't like it's just fun to me. I like throwing out stats in baseball.
Like throwing out the stats. That's incredible. Well, you are on camera for one thing, and that is your We Are Family Pittsburgh Sports podcast. It's you, Nate Shivens, and Pirate Peyton. The three of you guys host it. How did that podcast begin?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. Like a lot of the times, like me and Nate, all we would do is talk about sports. Like during our classes, like before class started, we would show up 20 minutes early just to talk about sports until the class started. So we had a lot of fun with that. And then we got to know, or at least I got to know Peyton a little bit more through SportsCom and Sideline as well. And him and Nate were already buddies at the time. And I would kind of just see them both, just talk to them, and I would just be seeing them, and we would already be in an hour-long conversation about sports.
Wow.
So Nate texted me saying, "Hey, let's just do a podcast. Like we already talk about sports a lot. Why don't we do this?" So I was like, "Yeah, no problem at all." So I'm very glad to have done that because, like the title of our podcast, like I feel like they're family to me. Like they're very nice. We're in contact almost every single day, if not every single day. So I'm really lucky to have met them and to do a podcast with them.
It's a great podcast too, because I listen to it quite a bit. And I mean, Nick Brown and Lucas could back me up on this. I'm kind of one of the crazy ones. I listen to everything just to show some support to all my fellow peers and to also just kind of get an idea of like, okay, what's going on in the sports world? What kind of topics are we talking about this weekend? I listen to Have a Shift. I have We Are Family, 2 Jagoff, Steel City, even some ones that doesn't even go here. Just like the Yud Jagoff podcast. I have that in there. CityCast, I have that in there. I even got some of the more notable names in there. Whenever you guys do your guys' podcast, do you guys have like a favorite topic you guys cover? Is there ever something you guys get into that like maybe you get under each other's skins?
Ooh, that's a good question. Usually NFL can get heated. Yeah,
Okay.
a lot of the times, like because especially me and Nate, we are like, and Peyton's a huge Pirate fan as well, like the three of us. But me and Nate are very much Pitt football. Like for me and Nate, it's pretty much, or at least for me, it's definitely Pirates, Pitt football, like as our two favorite sports. So that's whenever things get heated, just because we're so passionate. But I usually keep my cool. Usually I'm the one that's kind of like mellow and kind of like try to like look at perspective on the other side. But either way, like that, it's still a lot of fun regardless. So.
I like the dynamic you guys have because Peyton and Nate are like the more outspoken ones. They clashed a lot, and then you're kind of there just in the middle, like, okay, maybe I'll chime in, maybe I won't chime in. And then you do, and you're kind of one that lays down the law. You're like, yeah, well, listen, I get where you're coming from, but this is actually what's happening. And I feel like that's what makes your guys' chemistry so cool.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. They actually love them that way because it kind of it doesn't make everything so crazy, and it's kind of funny. It's just how I am. Like it's not like me playing an act. So like. Just kind of like keep my head level. It kind of like sorts everything out. But I kind of like seeing Nate and Peyton cook a little bit because it's kind of funny sometimes.
I bet it's pretty entertaining. I bet sometimes you forget you're recording. You're just sitting there like, okay, this is fun.
Honestly, it is. Like I'll laugh about something. And like I remember Nate knows this. I talk about it all the time. But on one of the episodes, he mentioned how like he was like ranting about the Reds like kind of blowing their playoff chances. He was like, yeah, and they gave up a poverty run, and I just lost my mind. I thought that was the funniest thing. It was like, because you don't really, no one really, like, you would hear that anywhere, so, like, it's just kind of funny.
That's hilarious. Now, whenever you guys are doing it, was there ever a time maybe one of them got under your skin a little bit? Because I'll be honest, on 2 Jagoffs, Lucas, he does a great job at it. Steel City, Nick does a pretty good job at it. Have you been always able to keep your cool, or is there ever a moment where you're like, oh, wait a minute, no, time out, what are you saying?
I can't think of anything specific. Usually, usually I have a certain thinking whenever it comes to just baseball or football in general, but usually no one's gotten under my skin.
That's good.
Just because they don't do it on purpose. Like if they say something I disagree with, like I just make my own opinion and we kind of all respect that. So
Okay, yeah, that keeps the mellow part of the episode.
yes, absolutely.
Keep it chilled out, keep everyone back on track. Now, with you doing podcasting and with you doing all these behind the scenes, I guess what my next question would be, what would be the end goal? Where would you want to see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
Ooh, in the next 5 to 10 years, probably either a production truck for sports or a news station.
I could definitely see you in a production truck.
Yeah, I love it. Like I don't know. Like I just like being in a dark room that's only lit because of the screens you're seeing and just kind of being locked in. I really like it. And it's funny. Like I didn't at all think I would be involved in any sort of news until I went to UView and realized how fun it was. So I would love to do like news and sports as well. But either way, like anything in the control room, I think would be a lot of fun.
And we've been to the control rooms too. Pirates production truck with Roger Lenhart in his class last semester. That was a really cool experience. Was there any other cool experiences you were a part of at Point Park, or maybe other mentors that helped you along the way?
Yeah. So last fall in 2024, I got to intern at the production truck for KDK Plus that do the high school games of the week. They're called JRM Productions, and they did a great job. I kind of did, I guess you could say, stage managing in a way. Like I was helping the play-by-play and color commentators a lot. But overall, I thought that experience was great. It got to show you like an actual like live broadcast and kind of like just the stressful part about it, but also kind of like the celebration afterwards. Like we just did this really great thing, like, and we were live the entire time. Like it was really cool. As for Point Park, I don't think much more except just helping out with the sporting events and doing UView and trying to get live shows in for Sideline as well.
Well, that's incredible. The sideline shows are my favorites too. I mean, you were just on Case recently. I don't think it's out yet at the time of this recording, but it's gonna probably be by the time this episode drops. That was a great episode of Sideline. Sideline's been cooking this year.
Thank you so much. And honestly, that's not me to blame for that. It's more Matt and Bryn. They do a fantastic job of trying to get talent on, interviews, and just the overall content that we bring out. That's all on them. I kind of do more of the, making sure the graphics are and make sure the TriCaster's okay, make sure everything's working properly so that we don't have any mistakes. And I like going in early just to make sure, because you just never know with technology, something can break. But no, honestly, that is all on Matt and Bryn. They do a fantastic job. And if it wasn't for them, like, Sideline would nowhere near be where it is now.
Oh, for sure. And I told them both that too when they're on this podcast. They made Sideline so welcoming, so cool. And I mean, like, that's one of the best experiences you can get. It's like a real television studio in there. Like, most real TV studios look exactly like what we have over in the library. So I think us being able to have that is unique. And I'm not going to reveal anybody, but I know that you guys have some guests cooking in these next couple weeks. So I'm really excited to see that. But one of them that was on that, I can say, was Robbie Smikowski, my buddy, who was actually on 2 Jagoffs a couple times. I think that's so cool that you guys are starting to get some people now from the outside on to mix it in with the students, and there's more B-roll. I think it's really cool to see that.
Oh, absolutely. That's coming into this year. Like all three of us talked over the summer, and that was a point of emphasis. We wanted more interviews. We wanted more B-roll. We just wanted it to look more authentic as a sports show. And we also wanted to have people as media professionalists to be on camera and to talk so that all of us can learn from them. I mean, it can't hurt to bring someone in that has so much experience, and a guy like Robbie, he has so much experience in this field. So it's really cool to not only have that as content based, but to have all of us learn, and while we're doing the show, kind of learn from him, from anyone else that we interview, just so we can kind of have a taste of what it feels like to be in that sort of position.
So all the shows that there's at Point Park, there's Sideline, there's Daybreak, there's EOP, there's I'll get them. There's News Nights, and there's Snooze. Those are the 5, right?
Yep.
How involved are you with all 5 of them? Which ones are you specifically involved in?
So Daybreak, I've been lucky enough to inherit a part of their show called Sideline Slice. A guy named Sam Parator graduated from Point Park a couple years ago, and when I was a freshman, he was a junior, and I talked to him about it, and I really liked it. He was like, hey, you can come on. I can interview you, stuff like that. So that's what we did, and I was kind of inherited that position by Jules, Addie just graduated, and Jake Plines. They were all very nice. They were basically like, hey, you could do whatever you want with this. Like, this is your segment. So I was able to kind of make the most of it. I started experimenting with packages. Like, for example, one I really liked was whenever the Paul Skeens card came out, where the Pirates were offering you this huge package where you could basically sell it for $1 million. So I made one on that whenever I couldn't physically go to the show. So that was a lot of fun. As for the other shows, I try to just do what I can to help out. earlier on, I would definitely have roles behind the scenes, but now it's kind of crazy because I'm a senior. So now I'm like helping these freshmen out, like if needed, or I'll just be there if there's maybe shortness in the control room or stuff like that. So I'm always willing to help out. So I try to do my best with EOP Newsnight and Snooze if I'm able to make it. So.
And it's pretty cool too, because I've seen some of your segments like where you like actually go to like the Steelers tailgates and interview some people. I saw some of your stuff where you're at like Pitt football games doing a quick rundown of that too. Is that you like getting all that B-roll too and getting all that content?
Yeah, so the Pitt games, yeah, that is all me, and I'm lucky enough to have season tickets for Pitt, so that makes it a lot easier. Yeah, absolutely. And as for the Steelers thing, that was all Ethan Rowinski's idea. He's one of the producers for Newsnight. He basically texted me saying, hey, it's the first home game for the Steelers. Why don't we go get some interviews? And he knows I like sports, so he knew I was willing to do it. So I was like, yeah, no problem. So he basically set it all up. He edited it as well. I edited other portions, like whenever I had the fun guy on. I thought that was awesome. So I was like, I have to clip that and I have to post that somewhere. So yeah, I wouldn't have been able to do that without him. So
what's it like going down to those tailgates? Are they rowdy down there at some of them Steelers tailgates?
It depends where you're at, definitely. I went in a similar area that I would tailgate before Pitt games at. Mm-hmm. So I kind of had an idea, and it's not as far away from the stadium, but once you get closer, it's pretty crazy. But overall, everyone was very nice. Like every time I asked someone if they wanted to interview, they would be more than happy to do it, or they'd respectfully decline. Like no one was at all mean. So
that's incredible. Yeah, and a lot of people are too nervous to go out there in public nowadays and do those kind of stuff. Like get those on the street interviews. I think it's called Man on the Street. That's what it's really called.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are too nervous to do those. But from what I saw, at least from what your content made, it was pretty cool. Like they actually turned out really well.
Thank you. Yeah. Everyone cooperated very well, so it was a lot easier to just edit and to be able to speak because everyone was very kind. So
I want to talk some sports with you now. I know you're a big sports guy.
Let's do it.
I'm a big sports guy. There's a whole laundry list of sports we could talk about here, but I feel like one that I haven't covered as much these last couple of weeks, I wanted to start with you with. Let's talk some Pitt football.
Let's do it.
It's been rough. It's been very
Unfortunately.
rough. I did not go to the Louisville game. I just want to stress that. I was at wrestling, so I could not make it. I do have season tickets, though. I did not go to some of the other games this year, but the one that I was at, which one was it? I don't remember. But I was at one of the Pitt games this year, and they lost badly. Can you speak on Pitt football just a little bit? Speak about their season. It's not looking good.
Yeah, like going into the year, I had a lot of high expectations because, like as you may know, 2 years ago they went 3-9, and 2 years prior to that they won the ACC. So it was really rough. And then the next year they bring in a new offensive coordinator who's young and innovative, and they bring in a quarterback transfer from Alabama who was going to battle for the starting job. And overall they had some pieces. I was like, you know what? I don't think they'll compete for the ACC, but I could see a 6-win team. And they started out 7-0, and that's where the expectations are now a lot more sky high. But then whenever they lost 6 straight, it kind of went back to reality. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of injuries. Holstein was banged up a lot during the year, and then the offensive line was hurt. So that's what kind of hurt them. And then going into this year, I had a lot of more optimism. I was like, I really liked Holstein's post-game interviews and just overall how he presented himself. I thought he was very mature and he was very focused. So I had a lot of faith going into this year. Unfortunately, it hasn't gone that way. Holstein, I still think he's a hard worker, but he has struggled a decent bit. I'm still rooting for him. I think he has a good head on his shoulders, so I hope it works out for him. But it's going to be tough because there's a freshman on that team, Mason Heinchel, at quarterback. I honestly, if he played football at Texas, he would be a high 4-star recruit in my opinion, but he went to Ohio. He's a 3-star recruit. I think he's extremely talented. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw him if Holstein continues to struggle. But yeah, it's just tough. Like the West Virginia game, like it just didn't seem like the team was at all like focused and kind of like driven to play that game.
I feel like the West Virginia game was what set it over the top because it was Central Michigan they beat, right? And then they went on and they lost to West Virginia, lost to Louisville. And you have all these high expectations, but I mean, again, like you're not winning the games that matters the most. My question to you, I guess, would be, Jake, where does Narduzzi fall on this scale? Is he to be blamed for any of this, or is Narduzzi let off the hook? Because I know a lot of people have certain feelings on him.
Yeah, and he's always going to have a special place in my heart because of the ACC championship.
Same here.
Absolutely. Like I was a senior in high school. You were a senior in high school as well.
Yep.
So it was like a really great way to kind of like cap off that chapter of your life. But like there's just different instances, I guess, where he kind of hurt this team this year. The West Virginia game, it just didn't seem like I mentioned, they were like pumped up to play this game. Like this was the Super Bowl for West Virginia. They wanted to beat Pitt. I think a lot of West Virginia fans figured this might be a rough year, just a new head coach, even though he has done a lot of good back then, but still a new head coach, a lot of turnover. And you go to West Virginia and they beat you in overtime. And not only that, but West Virginia had 2 losses where they just didn't look competitive, and that just makes it look a lot worse. And then you have the Louisville game where they start 17-0. And yeah, the referees made, in my opinion, a terrible call with the Kenny Johnson punt return where he basically was getting knocked out mid-play.
Oh yeah.
And they said that there was no penalty on that. And that kind of was the turning point in the game. But at the same time, there were a lot of decisions that were made where Pitt went for it probably whenever they should have taken a delay of game and punted, and instead they got rid of a couple timeouts that would have been crucial at the end of the game, and it kind of forced then Cole Gonzalez, who came in at quarterback, to have to make a ridiculous play because there were no timeouts. You couldn't get chunk plays and then call a timeout, or get a first down and kind of hurry up and make it to the line before it's too late. It's just a lot of bad things, a lot of miscommunication. I honestly think Pitt needs to win the ACC for this not to be a disaster of a year, because if you go 8-5 and lose to West Virginia, I prefer it the year before where you beat West Virginia and you only won 7 games. So
yeah, and I feel like another issue too is you starting off 7-0 last year. You then lose your last 6 games, one of them being the bowl game, the Toledo. And then going into this year, you already have 2 losses with Louisville and West Virginia now, and you still got Boston College on the calendar. You still got Notre Dame. You still got Miami. You still got a rough road ahead. It's not like it's going to get easier or better. My question to you is, what's the expectations for this year? Do you got any final predictions? Because going into the year, I said that I could see this team being at like a solid 6-6 kind of record, like middle of the road, maybe like a 5-6 win team. I didn't have many high expectations, but where do you think they're at right now?
Beginning of the year, I would have said 8 or 9. Now, I think they could still be bowl eligible, knowing the personnel on the team. Narduzzi usually is consistent with that, with all the faults that a lot of people seem to have with him. Either way, he still has kept this program pretty consistent. I would expect them to be bowl eligible. It's just, I don't know, at this point in time when you had a taste of competing for the ACC and had 2 ranked seasons in 2021 and 2022. I just don't know if that's good enough. So,
how about them Steelers? Big win in Ireland.
Yeah, the Steelers, they're playing a lot of solid football. Like, it's funny, Aaron Rodgers, it's like the first quarterback since Big Ben where he's basically like a coach. Like, Russell Wilson was a veteran, but he was more, like, I hate using this term, but he was more of a yes man whenever it came to being
I took a
quarterback.
back seat, yeah.
Right. Like, he wasn't willing to make his voices heard. And I honestly think that hurt him, because we saw him play kind of stretching the playbook out the first couple weeks he played, and he looked pretty solid, and then he kind of took a back seat, and we just saw just not much going in that regard. But Aaron Rodgers, he's a guy that doesn't really take no for an answer. And it's a shame, because I wish that they maybe would have had a young and high potential quarterback to sit behind Rodgers, right? Like maybe a Jackson Dart would have been pretty nice, so that maybe you could be set up whenever Rodgers retires, because he made it known that it's most likely going to be his last season. But overall, they've looked good. I don't think we can complain much. Maybe some late game situations where the Steelers let their opponent hang on a little bit, but
yeah.
But overall, starting out 3-1, you have sole possession of the AFC North as of now, so there's not too much to complain.
So I'm not a Steelers fan. I'm a Cardinals fan.
Mm-hmm.
So I might be I'm going to be unbiased when I say this. I think the Steelers actually are the division favorites right now by default, because you got the Browns, who now is a rookie quarterback starting this week. You got the Ravens, who's now down Lamar Jackson and 7 key players. And you got the Bengals, who are out with Joe Burrow without the rest of the year. That's a major concern for me, because at this moment in time, that should be easy wins for the Steelers. Now, again, it's the division. It's AFC North versus AFC North. So we see the trap games before. We saw Cleveland and beating Pittsburgh on that Thursday night football game not so long ago. But the Pittsburgh Steelers, with this bye week, I don't think they should really rest for the weary here, because even though they have Cleveland right afterwards, it's still a division game, so you never know where it's going to go from there. My biggest concern with this team, I'm not sold on the run game. I'm not sold on the offensive line, and I'm still not sold on the defensive play calling. I mean, the defense has stepped up. TJ Watt looked good last week. Cam Hayward hasn't looked too bad over the last couple of weeks. The secondary is suspect at times, but I think the Pittsburgh Steelers have a shot at actually finally winning the division this year. Beforehand, I had them third in the division. Not going to lie to you, Jake. I had Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, Browns. Now it's more like Steelers, Ravens, even Browns Bengals. I don't know yet. I'm still
Yeah.
50-50 just because of the whole Browning situation. But I don't know. I'm a little concerned for the Steelers just because those late game situations, like you almost blew that game to Minnesota. That was bad. I was really shocked that they almost gave up that game in Ireland. And them still not over the Jets game yet either. Breece Hall ran all over this team.
Yeah, it was tough to watch at times because we saw in a goal line situation or near goal line situation, it was a 4th down. And I agreed with them going for that at the time. Just try to get, like, you're going to be up 2 scores whether you kick the field goal or you don't. You might as well go for it. But it seemed like they didn't want to make a mistake in that situation and throw an interception or something like that. So it seemed like they were more comfortable running the ball and getting to the 1-yard line. But at the same time, you just have to show a little bit more aggressiveness there. I mean, it's a new wave of football. More teams are going for it more. You kind of have to adapt to that in a way, knowing that the Vikings were going to come back because they have a great coaching staff. I mean, Kevin O'Connell is incredible at what he does, despite the Vikings start so far. And not only that, but there's another situation where the Steelers could have went for it and just closed the game out, but then they punted it, and it was a little nerve-wracking because the Vikings were hot on offense at the time, and you were kind of expecting them to kick a game-tying field goal at the minimum. But luckily for the Steelers, the defense was able to get the job done. But it's just been sort of an issue just with being not aggressive enough because that's just not something that Tomlin does. It's something he never has, and he has a track record to prove that his way of thinking could work, and that's just how it's going to be. So.
For sure, too. I mean, no losing seasons, always a winning season, but the narrative kind of has been, okay, we get a winning season, get into the playoffs, and then you lose first round. Do you think that curse is finally going to end this year, or are we still kind of 50-50? Because I'll be honest with you, my philosophy is I believe they are going to get there, but it's going to be that first round loss. Now, if it's a team like Houston or a banged up Baltimore, I could see a difference there. But if it's Kansas City and Buffalo, I don't see a world where Pittsburgh can actually win.
Yeah, I agree. It's just I can't say that they're going to win a playoff game until I see it. It's just since we were both in middle school, that was the last time that they won a playoff game.
Right?
Yeah, the Chiefs. They were playing the Chiefs, and it was an all-field goal game. They didn't even score a touchdown. It was still a fun game, but
That's a good
regardless,
point. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, like this team, with what they have, they don't have a plan at quarterback after Rodgers. I love Will Howard. I just don't think he's the next guy up. And it's just this is a team that's made for this year, and you can't say, oh, well, if we win a playoff game, then that's fine because we're showing progress. It's not like you have a young quarterback at the helm where every year you want to get better. You have a quarterback that's going to retire. You have to compete for a Super Bowl at that point. It's just I just don't think that's going to be the case, unfortunately.
And I'll tell you what, I was one of the advocates for actually keeping Russell Wilson. I was one of the very few that said, no, it should be Russ over Fields, because I thought it would have been cool seeing Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf being reunited. Because, I mean, even though Russell Wilson slowed down his last year in Seattle, he still looked pretty solid there. And Fields, I mean, kind of looking at his New York Jets career right now, it's not exactly what we wanted it to be. What's your thoughts on the whole quarterback situation going forward? If Rodgers does retire this year, is this the year we draft a quarterback? Because it's not really looking like there's any good quarterbacks coming out of the draft as of right now.
Yeah, I agree. It's tough. Like, I just don't know if, like you mentioned, there's a quarterback good enough, or if the Steelers will have a pick that's going to be able to warrant them one of the top guys in the draft. And you could say trade up, but it's a lot easier said than done. I mean, if a team really wants a quarterback, they're going to draft a quarterback then and there. They're not going to wait and hope that the quarterback lasts. I mean, we saw the Giants take Daniel Jones, who I'm personally a fan of.
Okay, Danny Dimes, yeah.
I am, big fan of him. But he was drafted 6th overall, and a lot of people were complaining. And I was saying, hey, this is the Giants guy. They can't hope that he falls later in the draft. And that's kind of the situation where you get with the Steelers, who maybe want to trade up, but a lot of the times these teams are going to take the quarterback that they want as soon as possible. So,
who's some of your other favorite quarterbacks? Daniel Jones is a nice one. I'm a big Sam Darnold guy. I defend him a lot.
Yeah, I obviously I like Kenny Pickett, so he'll always be my favorite.
He has
quarterback.
a special place in my heart too.
Yes.
I can't say anything.
But out of the starters, Daniel Jones is my favorite because I've always defended him because
favorite.
He's been so overhated. And it's not like he's that bad. Like, like everyone like claims like every year, like, oh, he's the worst quarterback. I'm like, you have to look at the situation sometimes. I mean, finally, whenever they had a run game, he was able to perform well. And then whenever Saquon was hurt and he left, it was just a lot of turmoil within that organization. And now he goes to the Colts, where Jonathan Taylor is a great running back, and he's able to do a lot more with that. Other than that, I was a big fan of C.J. Stroud. I loved his rookie season. I had doubts about him. I know he struggled a little bit, especially the last couple seasons, but I mean, the Texans, they win a playoff game every single year, so I'm not going to doubt them just yet. And I like Jaden Daniels a lot. He's someone that also shocked me. I mean, to be a rookie quarterback, to be drafted by the second overall team, to take your team to the NFC Championship, that takes a lot of guts. And he's a fantastic kid, a fantastic quarterback, and I hope he has a really good future.
I'll throw out another one that I defend a lot, Baker Mayfield.
Yes.
I've been impressed with Baker Mayfield down in Tampa. Because when he was in Cleveland, I mean, them beating the Steelers in the playoffs for the first time in God knows how long, that right there already was a monumental moment. And then obviously there was the turmoil there. He left, went to Carolina, had that Thursday Night Football game with the Rams. And now he's starting to see like a resurface within his career down in Tampa Bay. And going into the season, I actually said Tampa Bay would be the team to give Philly the hardest time later on down the line. And obviously last week we saw what happened with Philly and Tampa. But still, Tampa Bay is a good team, especially with getting Ibuka now. When Evans comes back, you still got Godwin, Bucky Irvin. That's a good team too.
Oh, absolutely. And that was, in my opinion, the perfect situation for Mayfield, because he was going into a situation where they recently won it all.
Yeah.
So like you are on a good team, and you're in an organization that believes in you. And he's a kid that he works very hard. He was a former walk-on, transferred from Texas Tech, went to Oklahoma, which is going to be tough to play either way. And he goes out and he's fantastic. So like just him working this hard, going through the adversity in college, that's a huge thing that people don't realize as someone you're looking to draft. Like if you're going for the quarterback that was the 5-star recruit, started all 3 seasons in college, goes in the first round, a lot of the time they struggle early on because you don't want your first taste of adversity to be in the NFL. We're seeing that with Trevor Lawrence. We're seeing that with Justin Fields. We see that with a lot of these 5-star quarterbacks, aside from Matthew Stafford, who's a different breed.
Oh, Stafford's great.
Yeah, he is. But other than that, like look at the best quarterbacks in the NFL, like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. They were these 3-star recruits that maybe weren't as highly talented, and they really had to grind their way to become where they are now. I mean, that's a big thing, and that's what Mayfield has, and that's what makes him so great. He never lost that adversity, and he never lost that work ethic, and that's provided him some of the keys to success right now.
I know a lot of Steelers fans might not want to hear me say this, but he reminds me a lot of Big Ben in the sense that he's rough in the pocket. Like, he's not afraid to get hit. He's not afraid to heave it downfield, get in your face, take off, even though he's not as mobile. Like, he reminds me a lot of Big Ben in a way.
He does, and his arm strength is ridiculous. Like, especially on short throws. I'm like, I don't remember the last time the Steelers really had that, even with Big Ben under center. So, yeah, he was so good. Honestly, I think he was the perfect quarterback for the Browns whenever they drafted him, just because of his attitude, his mindset, and he's a guy you figured would be good right away. Guys like Sam Darnold we've seen take a while to become where we all thought he would be. Josh Allen, it took a couple years, and Lamar Jackson did take his second year, but we kind of figured that Baker Mayfield would be good right away. Right. I think that's what the Browns saw, and that's what we're seeing right now. So
you're missing one quarterback from that draft, Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
It was rough.
He's a talented quarterback, but like I mentioned before, he's the one quarterback that didn't go through the proper adversity. Maybe Sam Darnold you could put in there, but he also didn't say that there are, however many mistakes ahead of me. So that's also, a thing.
Here's the worst part. I actually wanted Sam Darnold that year. That was who I wanted in that draft. I was hoping for Sam Darnold in the Cardinals. And then we got Rosen. I was like, okay, maybe we can do this. And then I was like, all right, bring me Kyler Murray. Get rid of him, please. Because it was Rosen and Bradford that year. I remember Sam Bradford and Josh Rosen. And I want to say we went 3-13 that year, and it was just atrocious. It was one of the worst years.
Did you want Kyler Murray like the year after, or did you want Nick Bosa?
I wanted Nick Bosa.
I
wanted Nick Bosa, and it took me about a year to finally get on track with Kyler Murray. The game that sold it for me was the Hail Murray. When I saw that, I was like, okay, he's legit. And then the rest was history from there.
Absolutely. I think Murray's an incredible talent too. Like, I hope that he can just maintain that consistency. But I like him a lot. Like, I think he's done well. He got drafted by Cliff Kingsbury at the time, that was his that's the quarterback he wanted. He was a new head coach. So
yeah, and even though Gannon's the new head coach and he's more of like a defensive guy rather than an offensive guy, I still think he's done a good job of taking over this team. My biggest fault with the Cardinals, and I don't want to go on a whole rant, but it's Drew Petzing. I'm not a fan of our offensive coordinator. Haven't liked him since day one. I don't like his scheme. And I know the run game also is kind of banged up right now because we lost Connor. We just found out today that Benson's now on IR, so it's DeMarcado and Michael Carter are the two in the backfield. And Murray, I mean, he was literally the leading rusher last Thursday on Thursday Night Football against the Seahawks. So my biggest fear with the Cardinals going forward is how they play. And I feel like the stats are a little inflated at times because, Murray had 2 picks last week, but one of them was because Harrison stopped on the out route, and the other one was because it was dropped off his hands.
Right. Like, I kind of wish that there was a stat for quarterbacks where it was, like, deserved interceptions Because
Ooh,
it could
yeah.
be so misleading because someone could lead the league in picks, but maybe 10 of them were tip passes that
Yeah.
the receiver dropped. I mean, as you guys know, like as people watching, if they know me, they know I'm a big Pitt apologist. So like I look at the Nathan Peterman game whenever he threw 5 interceptions,
no.
and you see his first 3 interceptions were tip passes for the most part, or his line hit, like his line didn't do its job and he was getting hit as he threw. So like I kind of like to look at that side of things because you can see a stat line and say, wow, this quarterback did not play well, but at the end of the day they did, and they just got unlucky.
With that analogy, I got to ask, the Kyle McCord game with Syracuse and Pitt when he threw, what was it, 3 pick sixes in that game?
3 pick sixes in the first half.
In the first half.
Was
that
yes.
a quarterback fault?
Yes.
Okay.
Like the Pitt's defense, they play a certain way where they have a lot of blitz packages, and I think
Yeah.
it confused McCord a little bit, so he just wasn't making good reads because a lot of those interceptions were from linebackers. I'm not mistaken, all of them were. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure all linebackers.
Remember one was Kyle Lewis, I think.
Yes.
I think Kyle Lewis was one.
Yes, I know him, Lovelace, and Biles all had interceptions.
Okay.
I don't know who else had the other ones, but yeah, like I think it was just him being rushed into reads. So unfortunately, it was a quarterback issue, but it was more on Pitt's defense for really confusing him. I mean, McCord was fantastic after that game.
After that game, yeah. Were you at that game? Did you have the pleasure of being there?
Yes, I was. Yeah, I did a sideline slice one on that, and that was the most fun I've ever had editing for one because of how dominant that game was. And fun fact, that's the last time Pitt beat a Power 4 team was that game.
Really? It was that long ago?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Because their 2 wins after that were Duquesne and Central Michigan. So
Makes sense.
mhm.
Dang, been that long. To end off our little NFL discussion we have, Jake, which is this is great, by the way. I appreciate you coming on.
No
today.
problem at all.
I gotta hear the Super Bowl predictions. What are we thinking this year?
Oh man, I haven't really given this much thought. Going into the year, and this prediction is horrible. I thought the Texans would make it. I don't think they will anymore, unfortunately. I'm still rooting for them. This might be a hot take because he hasn't performed well in the playoffs yet, but I like their head coach a lot. I'm going to say Chargers out of the AFC. They look very good. Yeah, they had a tough loss to the Giants, but they've been taking control of that division. I mean, they've been looking really good. As for the NFC, I'm still going to take the Eagles. It's just there's such a complete team, and even whenever Hurts isn't putting up the numbers, he's still winning games, and whenever they're behind, Hurts is able to make plays. And I think that he's a lot more dynamic of a quarterback than people realize, and that whole roster is just very good.
So mine going into the season was Baltimore and Philly. Obviously, with Baltimore and their injuries, I don't think it's that way anymore. I'm going to shock you. I'm going to go Kansas City, LA.
The Rams, interesting.
I got the Rams and the Chiefs. I think Stafford is talented enough to get there. Nakua is having an incredible year. Williams is great out of the backfield. Devontae Adams is there as well. That's a big addition. But the thing with Kansas City is they got better when they got Worthy back. They're getting Rashee Rice back now. If they can just figure out that run game, I think the Chiefs' offense is honestly right back there in it. Because, again, something that I was actually talking about with Lucas on our weekly predictions this week was defense is what wins you championships. If the Cowboys had Micah Parsons, they win that 40-40 overtime game. And when we take a look at dominant defensive players that took over games over the last couple of years, who was really the star in the Chiefs Super Bowl run over those last five Super Bowl appearances? It was Chris Jones. Chris Jones was the guy that showed up and showed it. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes was electric, but Chris Jones was the sole reason why they won. What about when the Rams initially won their Super Bowl? It was because of Aaron Donald. I mean, it's always because of one key defensive player. So I think the Chiefs are going to be right back in it, but the Rams, that offense is just so electric. My concern with Philly, I always say they're like the weirdest 4-0 team because they're so good, but they're also so bad in some aspects because the run game has a hard time getting going this year. It's not fully Saquon's fault. It's obviously the offensive line injuries. I understand that. But it's so hard to criticize a team that won, 21 out of their last 22 games that they've played?
Oh, absolutely.
That's incredible, but I don't know. I just have a feeling Philly's going to like hit a halt right when they get to the NFC Championship. It's either going to be Green Bay or LA. I'm not sure which one's going to knock them off yet. I'm leaning more towards LA after Green Bay's performance these last 2 weeks, defensively specifically. But I got Rams, I got Chiefs. That's what I'm going with.
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny, like, speaking of the Eagles and Hurts and everything, like, to me, like, I get what people say, but I just can't not call him an elite quarterback right now. I know a lot of people have their mixed feelings about him. Hurts, yeah.
That's fair.
It's just making it to the Super Bowl 2 of the last 3 years and winning one. I mean, that you can't do that with just any quarterback nowadays. I mean, game managers don't win Super Bowls anymore, in my opinion. We haven't seen that in a long time, probably since Nick Foles, but maybe you don't even call him that because he played so well. So that's also something there. And as for the Chiefs, I mean, everyone tries to write them off early. Like every time they have a bad start, it's like I can't do it until I see it. Every single year they prove people wrong, which is shocking to prove people wrong with how successful they've been, and they're constantly winning playoff games. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive Mahomes never lost any playoff game before the championship round, the AFC championship round.
No, he has not.
So I mean, it's so hard to count him out like with stuff like that. So it's just I think the Chiefs very well could make it as well. Like I mean, they're every single year they just prove everyone that they're such a well-run franchise. So.
Couldn't agree more. I'm pretty sure the only 4 playoff games they actually lost was the 2 AFC championships, the one to Cincy and the one to Tom Brady, and then the 2 Super Bowls, the one to Brady and then the one to Philly last year. I'm pretty sure those are the only 4 that Mahomes has ever lost.
Yeah, honestly, I think you're right. Yeah, it's just he's an incredible talent. Like I know the last couple of years his stats don't look that way, but there's no stat for winning, and he does it more than anyone. So you can't knock him for that. So
no, for sure. And I mean, I've been defending the Kansas City Chiefs for a while too because they have a good team. They have amazing players. They're first ballot Hall of Famers: Jones, Kelsey, Mahomes, Reed. They're all going to be there one day in Canton. But I've just until you beat the team when it matters most, I can't choose against them. Like that's why like Buffalo is so good. I want to pick Josh Allen so badly. I just can't. He's 0-4 against Mahomes when it matters most. So if Allen can get over the hump or at least squeeze around Patrick Mahomes in the Kansas City Chiefs, maybe someone knocks him off beforehand, maybe I'll go Buffalo, but I got to go Kansas City. No other team has proved it to me yet.
Oh, absolutely. And with Buffalo, it's a little tough because they have question marks with their defense. It's so Josh Allen reliant.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing that makes the Chiefs different is that yes, they need Mahomes to win games, but they have a lot of aspects on their team that can perform well. Like Mahomes is struggling, the defense steps up. I mean, it's just there's a lot of factors in, and of course you have Andy Reid, who it seems like in every single 4th down situation in a big game where you need to get a first down, you need to make that big play, he comes up with a play call that's so creative that we watched Chad Henne be able to convert. Like it's just incredible what he's able to do. So
I remember that what was it, like 3rd or 4th down? Chad Henne threw it to Tyreek Hill, got the first down, 4th and 1 it was. I'm pretty sure
something like that. I think it was against the Browns.
It was against the Browns.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
I do remember that. That's crazy. It was that long ago. Wow. So you're the baseball aficionado at Point Park. I'll give you that title because you know baseball like no tomorrow. I know a decent amount of baseball, but nowhere near as much as you do. So you're gonna have to kind of help me carry me through this next conversation. Pirates were a train wreck this year as normal. Don Kelly took over. He's a Point Park alumni, and now he's the new manager for them. I want your thoughts on the overall season before we kind of get into the future. What was your thoughts on this initial season with the Pirates?
Yeah, and I know a lot of the higher ups believe this as well. So I'm gonna say honestly, it was a disaster of a season, and that's just the unfortunate reality. I mean, you as a rebuilding team, you want to get better every single year, and the Pirates took some steps back. I think that keeping Derek Shelton, and I think that the front office now agrees, I think that was a mistake. It just seemed like the players didn't want him back. It just seemed like they were just playing tight. It just didn't seem like they were playing authentic Pittsburgh Pirates baseball, and you saw immediately what Don Kelly was able to do. All the players loved Don Kelly. The players, I'm sure, were a sole reason why Bob Nutting and Ben Cherington were willing to extend him because of how much the players liked him. And it's just you saw a different span of baseball. I mean, Don Kelly had a winning record for the team until the Pirates were around the time they were eliminated, and that's whenever you're not as focused in games as much. That's just the reality. But I think he's done a solid job. But overall, unfortunately, it just did not hold up to the standards. I mean, they were sellers at the deadline. That's not something you want to do going into the year. And, just everything that happened, it's just not what you want to see.
Do you think bringing back Don Kelly and Ben Cherington was the right move or wrong move?
I think Kelly, absolutely. Cherington, I've always been a little more apologetic for. I like the mindset of the players he brings in. Like, some of them haven't worked out, but you see guys like Paul Skeens, Henry Davis, you see Andy Rodriguez, Bubba Chandler. All they talk about is wanting to win. All they talk about is how grateful they are for opportunities, how much they just want to win. I mean, I remember Henry Davis, they were interviewing him, and because he had a home run. Like, he came in whenever Joey Bart got injured and he hit a home run, and they interviewed him, and he was like, hey, how does it feel to come in that situation and to perform so well? And the first thing he said was to say prayers to Joey Bart, which, I mean, he did not have to do that. He could have just answered the question, but that was the first thing that's on his mind. Like, a lot of these guys, they're very team oriented, and that's what I like a lot. I like the guys that Cherington brings in. It's just the unfortunate thing with the bats that he brings in. it's a lot of similar players. It's a lot of guys that have home run potential. Maybe they're not consistently home run hitters, but they have that potential. But they strike out a ton, usually more than once a game, and they walk a ton. They have a high walk rate. So it's a lot of these similar players he likes to bring in. We see it with Jack Sawinski. We see it with a new addition in the Bednar trade, Rafael Flores. I mean, it's a lot of these similar guys, and a lot of the time they just haven't been panning out. He's been able to bring in a great pitching staff. He made that very much an emphasis. It's just the bats. That's where you're kind of lacking in that department.
Do you agree with them also getting rid of the third base coach and pitching coach as well?
The third base coach, yes. I think he's a good baseball mind. As a third base coach, it seemed like he struggled. He was super aggressive early on times where he shouldn't have been, and it costed the Pirates games. It costed them runs. And then whenever he received a lot of backlash, it seemed like he was very hesitant to send guys. And there are a lot of situations where I'm like, why are we sending him and stuff like that. So that kind of makes sense. Oscar Marin, I was a huge fan of whenever they hired him. He was with the Rangers, and he helped guys like Lance Lynn and Mike Minor become a lot better pitchers than what they were whenever the Rangers brought them in. So I was a huge fan of him. I really liked his philosophy. He was more to going with pitcher strengths than previous pitching coach Ray Searage, who I liked a lot, by the way. But he was very one-dimensional. He wanted to pitch for ground balls. He wanted to pitch for contact. And whenever you bring in fly ball pitchers, you're going to give up home runs that way. And that's where we saw guys like Garrett Cole, who just they weren't able to play the potential until they left. And I think Oscar Marin did a fantastic job. I did hear, however, that a lot of the Pirates said, maybe it's for the best that we let him go. That to me was interesting, but maybe some of these younger guys were like, hey, I think we have something that we can unlock with a new pitching coach. And it wasn't like the Pirates necessarily fired him. It was more that his contract, they just didn't renew it. He was on the last year of his contract this year in 2025. So they just didn't renew it. It wasn't like they just blatantly fired him.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Weren't they 7th across the league in ERA for pitchers as well this year too? And wasn't the Pirates pitching one of the better ones in Major League Baseball? That came to me as a surprise.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, why are you getting rid of someone who's actually contributing to one of your few successes that you do have on the team?
Right. Honestly, like it shocked me too. And at the moment I heard that, I was kind of upset. I was like, I really like Oscar Marin a lot, but like, if I'm hearing if this is true that some of the players maybe felt it's best if he were to go, and they just didn't want to renew his contract, then I can kind of understand. But if it's just more like a front office thing where they decide that he just wasn't good enough, I would have disagreed, because I really liked him whenever they brought him in. I thought he did a fantastic job. I mean, we look at Mitch Keller, who at the time it seemed like he was broken. I mean, he's a big, like, at the time that he was getting called up, he was this powerful pitcher that could pitch a lot of innings. And it seemed like with Ray Searage wanting to pitch to contact, he wasn't able to play at his full potential. It took him years to kind of regain that form, but then he broke out as an all-star in 2023, and that's where we saw a lot of more consistency with Mitch Keller. I mean, that's one of the many success stories that the pitching staff has had in terms of development with Mitch Keller. So
now, a debate that we've had on this podcast before, more specifically with Nick Brown on Steel City, was whether or not it was a Don Kelly issue, a Derek Shelton issue. I'm a big Don Kelly fan.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell that you're also a Don Kelly fan. Nick Brown was not a Don Kelly fan and tried blaming most of the losses last year to him. Do you agree with that, or do you disagree with that? I need you to put that to rest for me.
To me, because this was Kelly's first full season as a manager, he's going to make some mistakes. One thing I really liked from him is that he wasn't afraid to be a little unorthodox. I forget who the Pirates were playing, but there was a situation in the 5th or 6th inning where they were in a jam. There were runners in scoring position, less than 2 outs, and he put in Dennis Santana. Dennis Santana is more of an 8th, 9th inning type reliever. He put him in the 5th or 6th inning. He was able to get out of that jam. That shifted the entire momentum, and the Pirates won. He was playing like every inning could be the last inning of the game, and that's what I really like. I mean, a lot of managers in that situation are like, well, I want to save Santana later on. Let me put in this reliever, and then he blows the game. And all of a sudden, you're out of the game, and you can't even use that dominant reliever in the first place, like at the end of the game. So Kelly, he plays every inning like it's the last inning of the game. And I like it. I like doing something that's different, because you need to have some sort of different mindset to get different results. If you have a similar mindset to what all the other managers are having, it's just going to be the same thing. So.
Exactly, because one of the arguments that we had was it was that Rockies game where like the Pirates blew the entire game away and the Rockies came back and won. I put up, what was it, like 20-something runs or whatever. And the argument that I'm going to call Nick Brown out for a second, the argument that Nick Brown was making was that, oh, well, that's Don Kelly's fault. You need to learn how to adjust. Well, how can you adjust when literally a couple days prior you can't close off the game? You get rid of your closing pitcher and David Bednar, and they're clearly targeting the third base line the entire game. Oh, wait a minute, you just traded away your star third baseman, Key Brian Hayes. So I feel like I was cutting Don Kelly some slack last year, and I'm really excited to see how he performs as the manager next year. But I just don't understand why Pirates fans are so easy to jump the gun and be like, oh, get rid of him. He didn't do anything. Meanwhile, he didn't even have really a full season as coach or as manager, because Shelton was still here for the first half of the year.
Yeah, and that's kind of where you have to just listen to the players more. I mean, like I mentioned, the players loved Don Kelly. They were a big advocate in having a manager. That's one of the reasons why they extended him. And a lot of people don't know this, but as he was the bench coach for years and years, teams wanted to interview him for potentially a managerial position or maybe a position close to that, maybe a bench coach on a better, like a team that had a better record at the time than the Pirates. And he declined all of them. He wanted to be the manager in Pittsburgh eventually, and I'm glad he was able to get that opportunity, because for the Pirates to succeed, you need to hire a manager that wants to be the manager of the Pirates, not just to be a manager in baseball. And I think that's important because you have more of an incentive to winning. It's just you become a personality that people want to play for because you glow about this team. And I honestly, I think it could attract maybe some players that might want to play here more.
Good point, yeah.
So I think it's interesting to see what Kelly could do in the full year. I think it was the right move. I just don't know if there's a manager that you can hire that could be better than Kelly at this moment in time. I wanted the Pirates to get Terry Francona going into this season. He's also a Western Pennsylvania guy. I don't know if he grew up here or what, but he's a Western Pennsylvania guy regardless. And I think he would have fit well. I think the Pirates could have used an experienced manager sort of to maybe end this rebuild and to have some stability. But they chose to keep Shelton, and now you kind of have to adjust on that. But I maybe it was meant to be, because I kind of like Don Kelly a lot, and I hope he succeeds with the Pirates.
Hope so too. It's always cool seeing a fellow Pioneer get some success too. Mm-hmm. Gotta love Don Kelly's attitude.
Absolutely.
I want to end things off today, ask you the most important question. Jake, you probably listened to a couple of interviews before, so I think you have an idea of where I'm going with this last question. What is the go-to restaurant in Pittsburgh? We're foodies on the podcast. We ask every guest this question. I got to know what Jake Bell's go-to places to eat.
See, I don't eat too many sit-down places here. If I want to go somewhere for like a brunch or a breakfast where I'm going to get filled up most of the day, Waffles and Caffeinated is very good. Ooh. I like that place a lot. If I want to get pizza, Giovanni's. Right where the Clementi Bridge is at.
Yep.
It's unbelievable. Like it's funny, people have a love and hate. Like people love it or they hate it. It's never an in between.
So you're a lover.
I love it. It to me it's easily a top 3 pizza I've ever had.
Ooh,
and the next one, if I want to kind of maybe have something where I'm going to get huge portions, I'll go to Chinatown Inn around the 1st, 2nd Avenue area. I think those are my 3 go-tos if I want to get something to eat.
Is there a go-to specific food you like with all that too, or you're not really a picky eater? It really doesn't matter?
No, honestly, just whatever I'm in the mood in, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but all 3 of those places I would go to if you're looking for something in that specific category.
Hell yeah. I'm a burger guy, so I'm kind of plain Jane. Just give me a burger with cheese, give me some French fries, and
that works for me
too.
Give
me a pop. Depends on the occasion. Yeah. A drink. Who knows? Just give me something.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. Well, Jake, it was a great time having you on the podcast, man. Thank you so much. Thank you for all that you're doing on We Are Family too. It's cool seeing you guys succeed over there. Did you have any final words you want to leave with our audience though?
No, not at all. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, everything.
Jake knows what's up.
But yeah, no, I'm very happy to have been on here. Like I mentioned before, you guys do a great job. So I'm glad to be in that sort of category, of people you want to be on. So I'm very, very happy to have done this.
I appreciate it. And thank you for coming down here on your damn birthday. You did not have to do that.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to you.
No, I mean, what better way to celebrate my birthday than to be here and to be interviewed? I mean, come on.
That's a pretty good birthday gift. Okay. I mean, I didn't think of it like that, but no, whenever I found out it was your birthday, I was like, oh, come on. Why are you coming down here on your birthday of all days? You should have took the day off, but you're a hard-ass worker, Jake. I appreciate you, man. I really do.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And thank you all so much for tuning in to Two Jagoffs. You know what to do. Go like and subscribe. See you in the next one. Peace.